Archer testified that Hunter sold his dad as the brand, used him as defensive leverage to send the right signals to his business partners overseas. Now, I've said this before. Yes, it to me looks like Hunter was using, even selling his father's name, and it sure looks like Joe Biden's comments that he never talked to his son about his businesses probably isn't true. But I still don't see any credible evidence to say Joe Biden benefited or was a partner in any way in Hunter's schemes. Archer's testimony does offer a little more evidence to show Joe Biden may have known about his son's business dealings. But is that, Scottie, the new standard for impeachment, which is lying? Are we now impeaching over a lie?
Well, I think lies, if they did, everybody in Washington, D.C., and probably half our colleagues in the media would probably at some point be standing for impeachment. And let's just say impeachment has, as we've seen with Donald Trump being impeached 3 times, what is it? Does it have any teeth anymore besides just being labeled as a partisan attack on an opponent or opponent's campaign? That being said, in this case, because you are talking about something that involves government, involves access to those that are powerful, and you give the illusion, but Joe Biden was on the phone. There's no illusion. He was there on speakerphone. There's not the illusion of access to him. You have access to him.
So if it turns out that Donald Trump was on the phone during his kids' working on the hotels internationally, then he should have the same.
Absolutely.
Okay,
like I said, hold them all accountable.
When you say accountable, you mean you want to impeach over that, right?
Well, there's also difference. Well, like I said, what is impeachment doing anymore these days? Well, I mean, are they really giving any sorts? I mean, Democrats can say Donald Trump was impeached 3 times. Okay, all that does is show that it's a politically partisan world we're living in right now.
There were 7, I think it was, Senate Republicans who voted to convict in the second impeachment. I believe that's right.
Guess what? He still remains president. He wasn't removed from office. So there's still no meat. They still have not put any teeth into they've taken away. Impeachment probably meant something during the Watergate era, but since then, I feel like we've now begun to use it. In fact, Republicans, the day that they took over the House, should have already started impeachment inquiries if the majority of Republicans would wish that would have happened into Joe Biden without even knowing all of this. Imagine what they would do now.
I think that the talks of impeachment of Joe Biden over this just shows how the lack of seriousness of the Republican House caucus. And the fact that Kevin McCarthy has to pander to them so that he could do things like increase the debt ceiling, which used to just be pro forma when I worked in Congress back in the early 2000s. So I think that the American people had enough of it. And there are 25 members of his caucus who occupy districts that Joe Biden won easily, who are probably getting annoyed with it as well. And there is a clash coming. I do not believe there will actually be a formal impeachment investigation in the House of Representatives. I don't think those 25 are going to let that happen, because that means the death of them. And politically, I think that's more important to Kevin McCarthy as well. But he's got to let this play out for his own personal political purposes, because he's a very weak speaker.
Listen, I think that if the House wants to spend a lot of time, energy, and taxpayer money launching an impeachment investigation into Joe Biden, that perhaps the biggest losers in all of that are we, the American people.
Yes, again, I agree.
And politically, it may be Republicans, because impeachment is not a popular thing to pursue. You know, when Bill Clinton was impeached, Clinton became more popular.
Right.
And
Trump
we've
became
seen some of the same things happen.
Well, Bill Clinton was impeached for something that most Americans at the time thought was not something you should be impeached about. And I think
that was lying, except under oath.
Right. And I think the same thing right here.
In the White House.
They're trying to impeach him over a lie for what? A lie he said to the media at a press conference that may not have even really been a lie.
Well, we're not even. I mean, Devon Archer. It was interesting that Devon Archer did not testify in an open hearing. It was a closed hearing, and I think that was deliberate. We didn't get to hear what he had to say. We had to. Everybody got to walk outside the room and spin it in whichever way they wanted to spin it. And then many days later, the transcript was revealed, which showed Devon Archer said, "No, I have no knowledge or evidence that Joe Biden knew of or took part in any of Hunter Biden's business dealings."
Right.
I think anybody reading this testimony and following the story closely agrees that, you know, Hunter Biden and many close Democratic allies feel this way, acted in a sleazy, smarmy way.
Agreed.
And was trafficking on the Biden name. And perhaps, at the very least, Joe Biden should have said, you can't do that, and you shouldn't be doing that.
But Elizabeth and Dan, you've been to watching. Why was it closed door? I think a lot of American people are going, especially from the Republicans, why was it closed doors? If you really want transparency,
I agree.
Let it out there.
If
this was going to help you, Republicans, why did you not let us watch it live?
The answer is because it wasn't as helpful as they'd hoped.
Right.
Because he offered testimony that was mixed at best, and I think shows exactly what in my view, what I said at the top, which is probably Joe Biden wasn't telling the truth about conversations that he had with Hunter, but no evidence that there was corruption on the part of Joe Biden. And thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.